What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Super special call for you guys planned today. I am joined by Adrian, an expert from SellerSnap. And I know a lot of you guys have heard about SellerSnap. It's kind of like a buzzword on the Twitter timeline, but today I really want to dig into and take the opportunity to show you inside SellerSnap, kind of what separates it, what are some of the really, really cool features, and how it can affect a lot of you guys' businesses just by simply adapting the tool and really applying it to your business. So Adrian, what's going on?
Hey, go, man. Thanks for having me. Really excited to be here.
Cool. So do you want to hop into your screen and we'll start to kind of walk through the viewers, what SellerSnap looks like and really some of the key features and why it's really applicable to a lot of businesses?
Yeah, sounds like a plan. I've got it up in front of me in our demo environment at the moment, so you can already see the screen. And I guess I'll just run through it and show you all of the sort of key features or the things that we know sellers love about the platform. And we'll just get really deep into it and uncover all of these gems that you can help to optimize your listings and make sure that you're maximizing the profitability using all the features that SellerSnap has to offer. So just here, right now we're looking at what we call the overview page. This is the first page you arrive on when you enter the platform. And it is really just a high level overview of how your business is sort of performing. And you sort of see the aggregates of your total ordered items in 7 and 30 days, or your total revenue and total profit, as well as how many listings you have, FBA or FBM, and then how many of them are currently being repriced. And you can see this visualization down the bottom. But I think most of our customers, our sellers, will spend most of their time on the listing table. And that's where I think we should spend most of our time today as part of this demo. So the listings page is, we call it, like a mega dashboard, because it's one page where you get access to all the information about your listings, the products that you sell, and how they're performing. And when we say all of your data, we really mean all of your data. So at the top here, you see once again a bit of an aggregation of how your business is performing. We see revenue, buy box share. We can click on all of our listings just to see the one that we've imported costs to SellerSnap and see how our profit margin is or our ROI is going. But as we scroll down, we'll see that we see this massive table with all these different columns with hundreds of different data points about how your system is performing. So it's broken down based on a SKU level. And as I scroll across, you'll see all of these different data points that go into profitability, that go into orders, that go into fillable quantity, that go into the current listing price, mins and maxes. So we're talking about inputs and outputs, all these different data points. And then hundreds more if we open up our custom columns functionality and we start to see, B2B orders and, brand information, out of stock dates, FBA quantities based on warehouse quantity unsellable, total quantity reserved. So, inventory age brackets. So there's really just an immense amount of data. And I think what's really cool about SellerSnap, and maybe you'll agree with this Garrett, and, a lot of solutions have many different tabs or pages for different tasks. You'll have a system that has one tab you click on to look at your inventory and one tab you click on to look at your profitability. And at SellerSnap, we like to put all that information together so you can add all of these columns onto this mega dashboard and then, use really advanced filtering tools to understand how you're performing. So it's easy to go in and say, let's look at the filters and then find, we'll go down to the bottom and find the current buy box price, as an example, is below my minimum price. So, these are all these listings where you're not being competitive because you can't win the buy box. And we can say where inventory is in stock and the buy box is available and repricing is on. And, we can just keep adding all of these levels of immense granularity to try to find exactly what we're trying to do to optimize and then make really educated decisions on how we want to improve the performance of the algorithm or adjust to be more competitive.
Well, I mean, this filtering page is immensely powerful, right? Because something I talk about a bunch is just like really being in tune with your pricing and your products and your catalog. Going in at least once a week and doing an audit across your entire catalog. And most often, the auditing involves, okay, this is my minimum. This is where the market is. How do I think the next couple of weeks are going to unfold? Are there too many units below my minimum where I should be concerned? Or there's just a couple units, maybe just general market fluctuation where it's going to pop up and I'm going to be cool, right? But a typical rule of thumb I like to use is if any of your products haven't sold a single unit over 2 weeks, then we have to start taking some corrective action. And even that simple filter helps a bunch just by really being able to pinpoint what products are maybe getting stale, what products where a minimum is probably too high, and allows us to really have a pulse in terms of all of our mins, how it corresponds to each individual market, and whether it's kind of operating at a most efficiency or at the most efficiency or not. And even staying on this dashboard right here, it gives even more data points to continue to make those auditing decisions, right? If we
Yeah,
go to the right here, we have the individual buy box share on a per unit basis, on a per product basis, which is huge, right? Because on a particular product, say a lot of your products are in that like 5 to 10, 15% range. But if you have a couple of SKUs that are maybe not even seeing a percent or two, well, then you dig in further. Is it the minimum? Is it just the product's not really moving? Is it dominated by Amazon or another seller? You can start to really make a lot of conclusions based on the information, kind of just how it's portrayed.
yeah, for sure. And you see just on the sort of what you were saying around, no orders for 2 weeks, something we see a lot of customers do is they want to know whether they've had a significant decline in orders or revenue or profit over a period of time. That could be because they're no longer competitive or because, Amazon, as an example, has come on the listing. So here you can see there's a logo that shows you that Amazon's competing on this listing. And maybe that's meant that your average buy box share has dropped significantly and we need to adjust. We need to adjust our behavior. And so you can sort of do that type of stuff or look at, I like this one here, total revenue difference, right? So this will tell you if you have a positive or negative change in your revenue from period to period. So right now we're on the last 7 days and we're compared to the previous 7 days. And we can see total revenue was here and then, so it was 2,863 and it's gone up in this example, 4,721. So the difference is $1,800. So you can filter for big changes, positive or negative, and then say, oh, I've had a really big drop in my revenue over the last 7 days. Something's wrong. And I want to use this filter as a way to continue to track my business. And once you find this, let's say we actually do that example here, total, we go into the example here. So I think it's in the advanced diagnostic filters and we go to total percentage change in revenue, and we say that we've had a 5% or, a negative 5% change. I'm not sure if any listings will actually come up here if it even falls into the categorization, but let's say this, there you go. So, right. So we have no listings in this categorization, but let's say this was a really important metric that you wanted to track. You've got it saved here. We're looking at active listings. We're looking at active and out of stock. And we're looking in the last 7 days compared to the previous 7 days. So we can just save this view. So say, rev percent change. And then this can become part of your workflow. You come into the system every day. You know that this is something you have to do once a week. You click on this icon. It's going to load you those listings. These are the listings we have to take action on.
And you see some other buttons of default views, right? So inventory age, buy box drop in 7 days, needs to reprice. All those are helpful to just, embed into your weekly cadence of just really getting engraved with your pricer and just really being able to maximize the products that you're buying, right? Because I say this all the time, right? Good products are maximized by a good repricer, right? And so you're not doing your products, you're not doing the hard work that you put in to find those products enough justice by simply not paying attention to the repricing that's going on with them.
That's exactly right. And it's definitely a good repricer, but also there's work that you as a seller have to do. A good example of that is, CBT below min, so the competitive price threshold. And for those that don't know, CBT is the maximum price that you could sell at before a listing isn't eligible to win the buy box. And it essentially means that there is a price that's lower than your price on a competitive marketplace like Walmart. And Amazon always makes it so that they have the best price in the market. So if there's a CPT value on a listing, and not every listing has a CPT value, this filter will show you if your CPT value is below your minimum price. In other words, you're not going to be competitive. And so, yeah, it is a good repricer, but also if your CPT is below min or you're non-competitive because the buy box, your minimum price is above the buy box, then you have to come in here and optimize. And so the repricer is doing its job, but these are the tools you need to be able to help it do its job.
Yeah. So let's keep it moving. Let's move on to actually applying repricing to a particular product, right? Because you add a bunch of products to your catalog, it's not necessarily automatically going to be repriced based on SellerStep's application. So let's go over and let's show the viewers how to actually set up pricing for a particular product.
Totally. So I think the first thing I guess you need to really do in order to just get repricing, even before you set the strategies up, is you need to set a minimum and maximum price, right? And so a really good way to visualize it is in our calculator. So here we have a cost calculator, sets your minimum price. We can import a specific costs, and we can do this via CSD or via API, import into the system. And then based on either a markup percentage or a profit margin percentage. So here I'm going to say 25% markup, which is equivalent to ROI, taking into consideration the FBA fees, the low inventory level fees, the Amazon referral fees, and your additional costs, if you have one. Maybe this is a inbound fulfillment cost. Then we're going to calculate the minimum price that you have to sell at in order to maintain that profitability of an ROI of 25%. And so this sort of calculator occurs, throughout the system. You can enable what we call auto adjusts. And then once you save this 25%, for every listing that you have imported cost for, will automatically calculate the minimum and the maximum price, which means you can get repricing really quickly. And if you're, in shop scanning every day, sending stuff after inventory into after fulfillment centers all the time, you have this constant flow of goods coming in, and you really need a solution that's setting you your mids and maxes automatically and making sure you're maintaining that profitability. And so with auto adjust, this is the best way to get started.
Cool. Awesome.
Cool. So once you've got your mins and maxes set either via a CSV import or using the auto adjust feature, I think where a lot of people will spend their time is actually in the repricing settings. And so this is where you can get into the nitty gritty of how you want the system to behave. And so by default, the system is always set to the AI repricer, but you can go in and set up really specific use cases depending on what you're trying to do, whether that be liquidate stock, whether that be trying to raise the price. And I think every seller has a different way to go about it. And it'd be good to hear, Garrett, like what are some of the things that you do that you think is really important? And maybe I can mirror those in the demo so you can hear from an expert on strategy, how to do that in our system.
Yeah, I mean, so most of the year, it's just going to be really adjusting your price based on the current market, right? So obviously, each individual product is going to fluctuate, it's going to oscillate independently. And so most times, it's going to be just really staying in tune with the competitive market and make sure we're always in our eligibility for the buy box, right? That's going to be probably the main use case for just general operating procedures.
Right, totally. So yeah, and I think that's exactly what SellerSnap is catered to do. The algorithm is set up to find you the optimum price to seller to maximize your profitability and maintain your fair share of the buy box without creating price walls. Like that's what it's catered to do. And then I think what we hear a lot of sellers want to do is, they want to add in their own tweaks. And so one of the big ones is the yo-yo. So, applying a yo-yo method. And what type of yo-yo do you do or you recommend to some of the people that you work with?
Yeah, so it's going to raise to the max. I do every hour, but I know some people that do every 20 minutes, every 18 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever the case may be. I like the every hour, and it stays there I think I have it set for 20 minutes.
Right. So yeah, I think it's a really cool strategy. And essentially what you're saying is, the yo-yo, like a yo-yo up and down, it's just raising your price to the max every 1 hour, as we said here, it should be 60 minutes, not 60 minutes is staying at the max for 20 minutes. And so really what you're doing is trying to bring up your sellers, the other competitors, and trying to raise that price and then even win some sales at the top. And I think a lot of people don't even know this, but the algorithm has built-in smart yo-yos as it is. So if we see competitors raising price or non-being competitive, will also raise price to try and bring those prices up. And so that's sort of built in, but I think creating your own method and doing it more aggressively can also be really positive as well. And then obviously there's a whole bunch of other settings in here as well. So if you're a wholesaler and you have very specific map rules, we can prevent repricing below map. And then we can create conditions. So here we have a whole slew of different conditions, if a specific competitor exists with a seller ID, or if Amazon is competing on a listing, and if it's backordered, then you might want to do something else like win buy box. Competing aggressively when Amazon is on the listing is maybe not the best strategy, but, with the win buy box method lets you set up what percentage share of a buy box you want to obtain, 50%, 75%, and the system will try more aggressively or less aggressively, depending on what you put in, to create that desired scenario or achieve that desired scenario. And these strategies, there's a lot of different statements that you can create to create different repricing situations. Another really common one is historical days of supply. So, if you have a historical days of supply that is lower than $28, 28 days, then you're eligible to get the low inventory level fee, which means you're going to make less margin, right? And so what some people like to do is slow down their sales when they're getting, below 30 as an example, right? So that they can have some time to get their more inventory, get inventory back into FBA fulfillment centers so they don't get this fee. And so what people are doing is they're saying, if I'm lower than 30 days, then I want to set to follow the highest FBA. So it's just not being competitive, right? And so with this sort of strategy setup, we can just add lots of these different rules again and again and again. If, inventory is aged above 180 days as an example, or, even 30, 60 days or 90 days or 180 days, your fees, your long-term storage fees start to go up. So, maybe we want to go, if inventory age is above 90 days with more than one unit in stock, I want to be really aggressive. I want to clear my inventory. I want to liquidate. We're going to go and try with 95% of the buy box, get rid of my inventory so that, I'm not losing extra money on long-term storage fees. And so there's just a lot of customization you could do in here for all different situations.
But something like that's not going to trump your min that's already set, right? It's still going to abide within the min and the max.
Of course. So all repricing that occurs within the min and the max. And then all these settings that you set up to help you optimize, but always making sure that you're maintaining that profitability that you set as your min.
I mean, going back to the yo-yo method, something that I tangibly noticed soon after switching over to SellerSnap a while back was actually seeing like the sales come in at your max, which is kind of like, I mean, it's actually applicable. It's tangible. It's immediate dollars back in your pocket, right? That I didn't notice was a lot of the other competitors, right? Because I have a bunch of products that are selling between like 40 and 42 as the general operating, but then my max is set at like 47. And you'll see every day or every couple days, sales come in at 47. And that's really like evidence that something like the yo-yo method like practically works.
Yeah, definitely. And it's while, when you're living between the margins, as we do as Amazon sellers, anywhere between a few percent and 30% margin, they're really low numbers on low cost goods. If you're in grocery, we're talking about a few cents profits, 30 cents profits per sale. It's very low. So if you can get an extra few sales to the door at an extra $1 of profit, it's like making 3 extra sales. And so there's a lot of utility in it, and there's good opportunity to be made and make those, extra dollars.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Cool. And so then I think the next thing inside this listing pop-up we were looking at here that has the calculator repricing settings that I think is worth touching on is the business repricing. So SellerSnap has a specific repricer for business sales. So those of you out there that have, that are specifically wholesale, that might be willing to sell more products at a lower price and move more inventory, this is a really good option to offer business discounts. So essentially you're offering business customers, that those people that have business credit cards, the opportunity to buy products at a reduced rate because they're business buyers. And the goal is to try to get people to buy in quantities. So, you can turn this on and our AI kicks in and it's automatically offering you a second buy box, trying to compete for the second buy box, the business buy box, which you only see if you have a business credit card put into Amazon. And then we can also automatically create you quantity discounts. So you can set this up and then SellerSnap will automatically work out what is everyone else offering for quantity discounts. Maybe one seller is offering 10 units at 5% off and another seller is offering 3 units at 14% off. And we just cut through the noise and find the most optimum quantities to offer to maximize your quantity discounts. And for people with larger inventories, this can be a really good way to push inventory through the door.
Yeah. I think the net of it is with a lot of this just UI is that it's very in the weeds and you have a lot of touch with what's going on with your products, but it's also super easy to use. The filters, the views, it's all extraordinarily easy to use, but it's also very detailed in the same sense.
Yeah, there's a lot in it. And I think I've said this to you before, SellerSnap can be as
hands off or as hands on.
Hands off as, yeah, exactly. Hands off or hands off as you want. You can come in here and you set up a mins and max and you turn repricing on and you click save and you go and you look for more products and that's it. And it can be as simple as that. But if you want, you can create hundreds of these views and lots of different strategies for all different scenarios and just be, really in it all the time. And we have sellers that do both.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, we simply cannot stress it enough where pricing is such a crucial part in a businesses of all scales, right? Whether you're doing 20,000 or 50,000 or 100,000 a month, right? Repricing properly and accurately and effectively will squeeze everything possible out of all those products that you're still working hard to get, right? And so, again, check out sellersnap.com, free trial. I really do think it's going to be super effective on a lot of you guys' businesses. Anything else you want to add in?
Yeah, I think that's the long and the short of it. There's so much in the system, and I would really recommend that anyone that's trialing the system, we'll send out a request for a demo or an onboarding call. So if you sign up for our system at sellersnap.io and click create account, someone will reach out, take the call, and let someone help you optimize so that you can understand the system, and then have someone hold your hand through those early days of learning it. And then, there's so much in here, from repricing settings to inventory related replenishment suggestions, when to reorder, how much to reorder, being able to set what we call an inbound fulfillment fee or weight-based additional costs. We need $1 per pound added to as an additional cost to all of our listings to calculate that min and max. So, all that's sort of set up in here, how to set up your mins and maxes, as well as integrating with third-party solutions or enabling Walmart repricing. So Inventory Lab, SKUBolt, and ScanPower, some big names in the space. So there's a lot in here, and you really just have to use our knowledge in our customer success team to make sure you get set up.
Awesome. Well, more demos to come on my channel, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for joining me, Adrian, and we'll see you in the next video.
Thanks for having me, man. It was a pleasure.